Okay, Embark, the studio behind Ark Raiders, just announced what they call the Expedition Project, and it is a pretty big deal. This new system is basically their answer to the whole wipe question. It is not a forced seasonal reset, but it does give players the option to start fresh on a regular cycle. Here is what it means, how it works, and why it could change the game going forward. Expedition is a voluntary reset you unlock through the new project's system. When you complete it, you unlock the option to reset that character. You may have seen my previous video where I broke down the topic of not having mandatory wipes. So if this sounds kind of familiar to you, that is because it is. The Expedition project is essentially a prestige system, exactly the kind of solution that a big part of the community was hoping for. Okay, so this is how I understand it so far. Once your character reaches level 20, you unlock a new page called the Expedition Project. Inside that page, you get a set of weekly objectives. Embark shared a short recording of how the Expedition Project's in-game section currently looks. It looks like a kind of deposit system. For example, gather 50 metal parts and deposit them. When you complete all the objectives for week 1, that is it for that week. Then you wait for week 2, which brings new goals, probably with different or rarer materials. You keep doing this for 8 weeks, and by the end of week 8, if you have completed all the previous weeks, you will have the option to prestige your character. When you reset your character, you trade in all your progress and loot. So to be clear, you lose your levels, your skill points, all items and weapons in your stash or inventory, and your crafting unlocks. What you do keep are your cosmetics, skins, raider tokens, and achievements. Basically, anything you spent real money on, like through the battle pass, stays with you. Now, why would you even want to prestige instead of keeping everything? Embark mentioned that you will earn unique cosmetics as rewards. Think of it like this. If you see someone running around with a Prestige 10 skin, you know they have put serious time into the game. But that is not all. You also unlock account buffs that last through the next expedition cycle. These buffs get slightly better with each reset, so if you have prestiged multiple times, your buffs improve. We do not know yet what exactly those buffs are, but the developers said they are focused on cosmetics and small quality of life improvements, not combat advantages or anything that would make the game unfair. If you cannot finish every week's quest before the end of week 8, you do not lose progress. You just continue working on it in the next cycle. What is still unclear is whether you can finalize immediately after completing the last week, or if you have to wait until the next cycle ends. That part was not fully explained yet. Either way, this system is Embark's modern solution to keep the game's economy from inflating and to make sure your loot and weapons stay meaningful over time. It is also their way of avoiding mandatory server wipes, a system used by other games such as Escape from Tarkov. The big question now is, will the rewards be good enough to convince people to hit reset, or will most players just keep their progress and skip it? The key thing is that these benefits are not about raw power. They are about status, early convenience, and small advantages that make the next climb smoother, not unfair. The developers have said it clearly. Just to make it clear, we absolutely see the benefits a global wipe provides. Veteran players can experience the game fresh, the economy is reset to the baseline, and all players have about the same level of capabilities, at least for a little while. However, one thing a mandatory wipe does not do is respect the investment of those players who do not have as much time to play overall. For me, this could be the middle ground we were hoping for. A lot of us worried that having no wipes at all might cause long-term problems. Expedition gives the game a soft reset option for the players who want it, without deleting the progress of those who do not. Whether that is enough to keep the economy stable, we will only find out after the first few cycles. I am curious about what the rewards will actually look like and how strong those account buffs will be in practice. What I also find interesting is how the Expedition project opens up more space for future content and lore. We still do not know much about the story yet, but the framing here is really cool. The game mentions a massive tunnel network connected to Speranza that remains mostly unexplored. The capsules you sit in before a raid look like they launch through those tunnels towards the surface. Now, notice how the Expedition project ties into that visually. As you progress through the weekly objectives, you can actually see a capsule being built piece by piece. Each step feels like you are preparing for another push through those tunnels. By the end of week 8, the capsule looks complete, or at least that is what I think, and it fits perfectly with the theme of rebuilding and exploration. The article also mentions that some raiders go beyond the known Rust Belt, and that up until now, those expeditions have always been one-way trips. That gives this whole system a clear narrative purpose, but it also sets up some exciting potential for the future. Imagine if later on they expand the game with another map, but instead of going somewhere on the surface, we go deeper underground. Maybe, since humanity seems to be safer down there, we would not face Ark enemies anymore. Maybe it becomes a pure PvP area. Or maybe we meet a new kind of enemy entirely. Who knows? I do not want to get carried away, but I love thinking about this stuff and could honestly keep going. And that is the expedition project explained. I think it is a smart answer to one of the biggest questions we had about Ark Raiders. I also want to say a quick thank you for all the feedback on my last 2 videos. Seeing that so many people watched, commented, and shared their thoughts really means a lot. It makes me want to keep going with YouTube and create more videos like this one. If you enjoyed this breakdown, give this video a like and drop a sub so you do not miss the next one. Also, if you want to join the discussion, join my newly created Discord server. You'll find the link in the description. Otherwise, let me know in the comments below. What do you think about the Expedition project? Will it solve the extraction game's biggest problem? Or is it just another desperate attempt to solve the unsolvable? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.